Welcome to another episode of the Beast Files. I am Jeff 831, and man, I feel like we've turned a corner in the Beast games. A lot more character development, some drama, a lot more action. Even as a contestant, it's getting more exciting for me to watch. That said, we do have some spoilers in here. So if you have not seen episode 6, please go back to Prime Video, check it out, and then once it's through, swing back here and listen to this episode. But I have some amazing special guests, and I'm sure once you see him, you'll know who it is. We have number 539, Akira, in the building. Akira,
Howdy.
hello.
I'm doing great. Just down in Texas visiting some family. Enjoying all the excitement from episode 6. Um, Watching it back was, for me as a fan, it was incredible, especially seeing the physical challenge. Insane, insane.
Well, it's so funny because like I am like in my mind, I watched it back and go, oh my gosh, Mental was amazing. So it's and I think that's what's so neat about most of the challenges until up to this point, we got to see or experience kind of together. And this was
Mhm.
kind of the first one where you kind of heard stories about it, but it's hard to kind of grasp how vast they were or how kind of stressful they were until you watch it. Um,
Yeah.
so when you're down in Texas with people you don't see, your family you don't see too often, um, tell me about that experience watching the episode with them.
So I obviously know what the outcome was, and for me it was like I just didn't know how they were going to react. But obviously, my parents have taught me, to do the right thing at all times, um, to lead with your heart, and to just show love. And honestly, watching it back, I got emotional because I just felt like all the tension in the room. I got nervous. I was like, "Oh no, Akira, what are you doing? Like, you're risking it all." And just to see how it played out. Uh, my parents were emotional. My
So,
brother loved it.
so when you say you're with your family, you're literally with your parents and your brother watching
Yep,
it.
with
Oh
my
my
parents and my
gosh.
brother. Yeah.
Okay, so did you plan this?
I didn't actually plan it. We were originally planning to have a family trip. My brothers and I live all up in Washington, so we wanted to come down to Texas. Originally, we were going to go for Christmas time, but plans got a little delayed. It made it easier to just come now. And I mean, the
Worked out
cards kind of
perfect.
just, I know the cards kind of just fell with the schedule. So I was excited that they'd get to
That's
see it.
sweet. Yeah, it's I mean, when I think of this episode, there's kind of two things that really stand out. One is I thought the monster truck was just the biggest action that we've had in the games, and the
It
second was
was.
clearly the man on the mission, you. And I think you clearly stated kind of, I have a mission to carry out, but I kind of want to take it back a little bit. Like, do you remember exactly when you committed yourself to this mission?
So taking it back to, we'll start at the helicopters. This is where I first kind of learned about the brothers and kind of what they did. Um, just, the rumor mill spread around. Everyone was talking about what happened in their cubes, how emotional they were and stuff. And, we heard negative things. So, knowing about people that maybe didn't play with the same honesty or integrity or showed the same kind of love and compassion that some of us did, um, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I was kind of like, oh, I'll keep my eyes on them, but I don't know them personally. So, nothing against them really. And then it was actually en route to us moving over to the island when we were headed to Panama. And first impressions can be everything. And my first impression with one of the brothers was that they lied straight to my face.
No way.
Didn't need to at all. They just were introducing themselves. I'd never met them, so this was a first interaction for me. And then, they just lied about where we met, how they knew my name, and
That was
it
enough.
just that was enough for me. So I'm like, I heard shady things about you in the cubes. You lied right to my face. I don't trust you. I That's bad stuff that's going to the island. If I get an opportunity to take a shot later, I'm going to take it. So that's pretty much where the mission started.
Awesome. I remember the first time I learned of your mission. I think we were outside by the picnic tables. I'm trying to think when it was. It had to have been, um, I think it might have even been before the island or after. But like I remember having a conversation. There was like 4 or 5 of us there, and you just
Mm.
had kind of some brief words, but like, yeah, they're on my radar, and I could just see it in your eyes. I kind of going, okay, and I've heard, you and I we had some good conversations and
Mm.
had kind of mutual respect. And I've also kind of heard, I know been on a handful of beast challenges before, just have a stellar reputation. And I'm like, oh, like he's gonna follow through with this. Like he's definitely gonna do it. So now, like once you've kind of committed yourself to this mission, we go to Panama, and you're on kind of chopper 5, 6, or 7. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, I think it was number 5. Yeah.
And Kareem and Hazem are on chopper 1.
Mm.
So just hypothetically here, let's say Kareem number 5. Um, and by the way, that was one of my favorite scenes from Chopper 4 because like especially knowing now how close you and all your friends are, like for you to do that for your friends, you could just see it in your face. Like, man, that was cool when you guys all got on the helicopter with the ball. That was sweet.
Yeah.
So
The emotion was real.
So now that we're on the island, Jimmy tees up the competition. Hey, we're going to compete for a $1.8 million island. You're on the fifth helicopter, so you can look down the row and see are 406 Kareem and 527 Hazem going to choose in. If 406 chose in to compete for the island, did that change your calculus?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely on the fence about competing for the island. I I thought it would be really cool. The challenges they were gonna do, absolutely insane. I mean, this is what I live and breathe just to compete. So ultimately, if one of them chose the island, it's a great hypothetical. Um, I think it would have been a good opportunity still. I think for me, it was when I get a moment or a chance to take a shot, I'm gonna, I'm gonna take it. So if one of them did go for the island, I probably would have thrown my hat in the ring. Um, we'll see. But ultimately, I chose not to because neither of them did. And I told Jimmy I got some unfinished business with people on Helicopter One, so I'm gonna say no to the island. I'm gonna go on vacation.
Well, and knowing you, and especially kind of what you do back at home with kind of just your outdoors kind of work, and obviously kind of history with sports too. It's like the island is like perfect for you. So like the fact that you said no to it because you were on a mission is just even more admirable after watching this episode. So now that we kind of have a vacation, we get back to the city and we have the choice. We see these doors and everybody's making up what are these challenges or what's next? What do these doors mean? Um, when did you decide where you were going? Were you sitting back and kind of eyeing where, I hate to say it, your prey went?
I was a little bit because a lot of people thought I would go for physical. Again, going back to my background, I love competing in challenges. It is, we never did like a real physical challenge.
Yeah.
The fact that you guys pulled monster trucks, you raced for flags, a dead hang, I wouldn't have done that. But the monster trucks, like the appeal there.
You
So
would, you
I
would have loved it.
waited. Yeah, I waited. And I was determined. I was just between mental and physical. I didn't think anything of chance. Um, and ultimately, when I saw where they went and they chose mental, I decided, okay, here's an opportunity. Go take it. You got people behind you that want to help you if you can. So that's where we went.
Well, it's nice too, is I mean, so many of your friends went mental too. I mean, that was I mean, and you were friends with tons of folks, but like your core group was in mental. So now you're in mental. You do the IQ test. You score really well. And when did it hit you that like, hey, I'm going to have a shot to call somebody out?
So it was as soon as, so the first moment. Um, and honestly, nothing against him. I really liked Z as a person. He was really cool. If anything, he was just kind of he was in the group, so it was kind of guilty by association. Um, but when he scored the lowest on the IQ test and he was out, I told myself, that's 1 out of 3.
Yeah.
That's 1 out of 3. And then when I saw Haslam up there in number 2, I was like, I have no idea where this guy's gonna go. If he picks me, so be it. If he goes low, it's up to him. And when he picked Queen, I talked to Queen so much. I
Yeah.
knew she was on board with everything I was saying. So as soon as Haslam dropped, I was like, that's 2 out of 3. And she hugged Carl. She pointed at me like, you know what to do. And I was like, I got you. And she
Wow.
moved on.
And,
So
and and
I've,
Queen is such a competitor. She's a competitor, but also has a giant heart. Um,
yeah,
and like I think it's cool that you guys were kind of chatting because two of the people when I think back at the games, two of the people who had kind of really great game instinct were you and Queen. Like you guys make really important decisions really quickly, and it's like, oh my gosh, like how do you guys do that? So I love that you guys were aligned. So
yeah. And then,
now it's your shot, and
mm,
you get your chance. No second guessing. Was it, hey, 406, come on up here?
yep. With the trivia questions, I saw sports on there. I'm like, there's no way I don't pick sports and I don't take a shot. I have to. Like everything just lined up so perfectly. I'm like, 2 out of 3 are gone. He's right there for you. You've been asking just for one shot, and if I didn't go through, at least I tried. That's all you can ask for on a mission.
And what I love about your mission is, well, before we get there, do you think Kareem had any idea that you had this mission?
No, actually, I don't. He had no idea. Going into the games, we weren't sure if it was going to be, team based, how it would work, and there were people like I think JC came up to me and he said, "Hey, like Kareem's trying to put together a team. He's not sure where your head's at, but he wants you on his team. Like he wants me to come talk to you because I know you guys are in this close. So if there's a team thing, he wants good, strong competitors on his side, and he wants you." And in my back of my head, I'm like, that's perfect because he has literally no idea.
Infiltration from within.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's yeah, because I mean, because I didn't know how many people you had told. Because I remember talking to you about it, and it's one of these things where the cool thing in the games is I think you can kind of quickly realize who you can trust and who you can't. And it
mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean like some of the people I trusted the most weren't people I spent the most time with. Like I know that if I told you something and you said you weren't going to tell somebody, I trusted you. Um,
Yeah,
and if you said you were going to do something, I knew you were going to do it. And it's awesome that he didn't know about that until that moment. So now you call them up. You have an opportunity kind of to deliver what you've been thinking about, and again, like this isn't animosity. You're just trying to serve, in essence, Beast Games justice. Like you're and you chose sports. Walk me through why you chose sports. Do you have a big history? Are you watch a ton of games? What's your story?
yeah, huge sports fan. I grew up in college. I was surrounded by tons of NBA fanatics.
Oh, really?
So, really, yeah, huge. One of them is a huge Celtics fan,
No
and
way.
I grew up kind of um, because I've always been a New England Patriot fan since I started watching football, and I kind of really liked the history behind the Boston Celtics. So there was a time period where I was rooting for them. I knew so much about their history. I knew how many wins they had, and then even just like in general, I'm definitely like a sports nerd. Soccer, basketball, football, the whole lot. Like that's just something that I spend time. Even just most of my reading at home, something to do with sports
Smart.
articles, stories, anything. So as soon as I saw the sports category, I'm like, it's trivia. Most common trivia questions for sports usually end up being like who's won the most of this event, whatever it is. Um, so I chose sports. Kareem, he used to coach volleyball. Supposedly that was his sports knowledge. So I thought this could be 50-50. All right, let the best man win, I guess.
Yeah, and then again, it's like this is your shot. Like you think about all these things that you like, and this is just a good lesson in life. Like you think about and envision everything you want to do, and eventually you have your moment to choose in. And you chose in, you chose sports. The question was asked, but the question didn't get finished. And Kareem pops in and presses the button. When he pressed that button, you know he gets to answer first. What was going through your mind?
Uh, honestly, I was kind of like, fair play to him. He beat me to the buzzer, and I just wasn't quick enough. And if I go home from here, it's props to him. It was a big call out, a lot of pressure, and you know,
Yeah, well, and that's something that like it was it as tense as it looked on TV? I mean, like by the way, you look super calm, and this is something that like this is why it was like my favorite moment of the episode is you're on a mission, but you stayed calm, and Jimmy tries to kind of get you to, you know, move a little bit or kind of share a little bit more, but you're like, no, no, I'm on a mission. This is it. Um, it felt very tense, and Kareem can be, intimidating, and you can see. I mean, he's like, spitting
yeah.
daggers at you. Um, was it as tense as it looked?
Oh, yeah, the tension was definitely there. As soon as he stood up to the plate and started staring at me, I was like, okay, like this is happening. And I definitely had some nerves, but I told myself, you gotta relax. Um, some of the people before you that failed their questions, like David, they he was shaking under the pressure, and I was
Yeah.
like, you're the higher IQ. It's gonna look bad if you're shaking in your boots. So just took a couple deep breaths, put my hands on the buzzer, and I was like, okay, let's do this. This is it. Like that, like I just had to clear my mind
Yeah.
and be like, just
You prepared for it, and now it's time to be in the zone and act. So Kareem answers quickly, and he goes, "L.A. Lakers." Once he said that, based on kind of what you shared about being a Pats fan and having a friend who's a big Celtics fan, did you know 100% that it was the Celtics?
so I actually knew before Jimmy even finished. Uh,
No way.
half the like as soon as he said with
NBA.
18, I knew exactly what number. I knew who has 18 championships. That's Celtics. But I was like, I'm gonna let Jimmy finish this question, and then I'll buzz in because I want to make sure that I know exactly what the question is. And so as soon as he said with 18, I'm like, that's the Celtics. And then he said NBA, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. And obviously, when I heard Kareem say Lakers, I was like, wow, like there's no way that it's, it's this is it. Like you know the
Yeah.
answer.
Well, and it's like the culmination of like again, it's one thing to say you're going to do something in the games. It's another thing to actually make that your like because again, people change their minds. Like, oh, I'm in this alliance. I'm friends with this person. Things change. This thing, you were super committed to it, and it's like to see your mission all the way through and kind of execute on it was it's gotta be awesome. So then you think it's over. Hey, oh my gosh, okay, I won. I get to move on.
Hmm.
How quickly after did Jimmy call out Carl and bring out the 50K? Was that like immediate?
Yeah, so I got the question right. I shook hands with Kareem. I was like, good job. I went to hug the other players that were watching, and then Jimmy's like, hey, Kara, come back up. So this was probably like just a few moments of celebration,
Okay.
and he brings out the bribe, 50K, to run it back. Oh,
And I mean, and at least on the episode, it looks like you didn't consider it at all. But yeah, I think I would like you'd have to. Like, did you think about it whatsoever?
yeah, I mean, uh, at the time, confidence was really high. And in theory, like, could I have gotten another sports question right? Very well possible. But I also told myself, like, you you did what you wanted to do. Like, mission has been executed. Why would you risk it all again, knowing just for money, knowing that it could all be for nothing? I
Yeah.
get 50K. I get the question wrong. I go home. Now he's still in, and he has a shot at 5 million. That's not what you wanted from the the start of the mission. The start of the mission was let's get them out of here. Get rid of that
And
badge from the game.
Yeah, and clear the way. Yeah, so sometimes the enemy of good is better, and I mean, and kudos to you again. Like it's when you see 50K kind of come out, it's. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money,
It's a lot of
and
money.
in essence, it's kind of free money. Um, but I mean, Kareem, run it back, and then kind of offered best 2 out of 3. And so when you chose to say, "Hey, we're no, I'm good, don't need it. My mission is complete," and you go back to everybody else who's sitting there, like, what was the vibe with the remaining contestants?
Um, so yeah, I mean, he definitely wanted me to take that money and try again, but I knew that was again going back to like the tactics they used in the cubes, like with some of the word choice and manipulation. I'm like, you're not swaying my head. I'm sorry. Like you can say 2 out of 3, but this is if I give you a chance, you're not giving me another chance. No way. There's no
Yeah,
way.
no.
We do not go to 3 if I give you another chance. So easy to say no to the money. Um, I was happy with it. Everyone else, I mean, they were everyone else that was standing there was just shook. They were, I
That's
mean, most of them knew. Most of them knew that was the plan.
but
So,
but 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 still, it's like it's one of these things where anytime you see someone drop again, like you don't have time to say goodbye, and we know everybody. So
mhm.
you know whether it's a friend or a foe or someone who you're neutral with, like they go down and they fall through the pillars. It's like I don't see them again, and there's literally a good chance you never see them again in your life. Um, so it's tense, and then I can only imagine what it was like after you did what you did. Is like oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. Um, so now that you're on the other end of this, how did the rest of the challenge go for you? Were you kind of zoned out, or were you kind of at peace?
so for a little bit, I wasn't at peace because I still had my friends that were competing. And I knew at least a majority of them were there would be an inevitable like they're gonna play against each other. Um,
And that's
you know, I'm,
Corn, Emma, Colton.
yeah. So I knew like Colin and Ava. I was close
Yeah,
to both of them, and they had to go against each other. Um, Ivy was there, and she went home. I didn't get to say bye to her.
yeah.
And then as people moved on to the next round, and I saw who didn't drop, I just kept asking who's left, who else is still on the table. And when the final two came up, they said Emma and Corn, and I said, "You've got to be kidding!" Like
Yeah.
it's a lose lose either way. And unfortunately, like I obviously was closer to Corn. I knew her longer, so there was a part of me that's like, please walk through those doors. But also like, I want Emma to win too. Like I didn't want either of them to go home. So
Yeah,
the
that one couldn't have been. I mean, like in the video montage they show on the episode, like kind of encapsulates it perfectly. Like they're two amazing women,
mm,
in their own kind of right. And Corn is just so talented. I could listen to Corn talk for hours. Um, she's just so captivating. So so then when you see them walk through the door, are you guys in holding? Is that what you mean? Like, are you guys in a holding place outside?
yeah,
Like,
we went outside the building. There's like a van, and so when I come out, Queen's just telling Tawana about you know and
her
she's
question.
telling
Yeah.
Jesse what just happened. Like T had no idea that I was going after the brothers. She was floored. She was like, "That's insane! Like, remind me not to get on your hit list. Like, what the heck?" And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, it just rubbed me the wrong way." Um, so yeah, we were just in holding, and every time a question or someone moved on, one person would come out, and it's whoever was
It gets
advancing
it gets to share the story from their
and
perspective,
share
which is
the
super cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, this was my favorite episode to watch, and you were the highlight of my episode just because it was awesome to see you fulfill a mission that you were committed to, but do it so calmly and confidently. And yeah, it was exactly how my experience of you in the games was just integrity. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it, and you're just a fierce competitor. It was
Thank you. I
awesome.
appreciate that.
And you obviously are moving on,
Hmm.
which is sweet, and I can't wait to see what happens in next episode. But with regard to like yesterday, I just want to hear that. I want to hear like, did you have like a ton of friends texting you, or did you get support, or did you get any trolls on social media? Like, what happened when this episode aired?
So like pretty slowly, I started to get messages from from fans, new followers, just saying thank you for getting those brothers out. You're a legend. All my friends were like, dude, that was so sick. I can't believe you did that. Like the amount of like it took so much guts to do what you did, and the fact that you did it was just incredible. Obviously, my parents super emotional, and they were very proud of me. Um, I owe everything I am to them from all their teachings and lessons. So, being able to kind of implore or put those out into the world and for people to see, like, there's ways you can play these games. They can be cutthroat, they can be brutal, they can bring the worst out of people, but they can also bring out the best in some of the people that you see. Um,
Totally. It's
you
and,
know,
and and you did it. And I think the cool thing is when I look back at the games, um, you remove your phone, you remove the internet, you remove calendars, like you don't even know really what time it is, and it forces you to be yourself and to build relationships and work with people. Um, and looking back, you can really kind of bank these things and kind of go, oh my gosh, this is what I did in this situation. So, do you feel like looking back at this at especially this episode, like, are you able to kind of take what happened here and does it change the way you kind of live your life now back in the real world?
no, I mean, I've always tried to, be as kind and caring to others as I can. And obviously, you know, I, if I don't get the best impression from you, then it kind of just changes how I view you as a person. Again, they were really cool people. I didn't know them until, they crossed me in a way that I was just like, why? Like, we're strangers, and the first thing you do is lie to me. And, you know,
It's not necessary. Yeah.
it's not necessary, especially when, like, we got so close to so many people on the island. It was great times, the partying, just relaxing, kind of taking ourselves out of the game a bit. And it was incredible to see people for themselves and just, just to have fun. And so to think that there was some negativity still kind of lingering, it didn't sit right with me. So, um, who I
Well,
am in the show doesn't change now.
I love it, and so like that's that was who you were before the show. That was who you were during the show, and that's who you are after. And kudos to mom and dad for kind of raising an awesome man. And
I
it
appreciate it.
was it was super fun to watch. So I would love to kind of hear kind of what's next for you. Like, what do you have planned for 2025, and where can people kind of find what's going on in Akira's life?
Plans for 2025. Hopefully, I'm going to be taking a little bit more time off work. I did take a hiatus for Beast Games, but since then, I've been just on a work grind. So hopefully, take a couple trips just
Sweet.
for myself. It is starting to get busy at work, so if you happen to be in the Everett area, I'll be at Hydric Adventures. It's an outdoor aerial adventure park. Um,
And that's in
so
Pacific
busy.
Northwest, Everett, Washington.
Correct, yeah. So if you want some fun outdoors, come see me. I'll probably be there.
Oh,
um,
sweet.
Aside from that, I don't know what's next. I am hoping to potentially do other reality shows. I've always been a fan of Big Brother and like Survivor and The Challenge. So we'll see. Maybe some of those opportunities are opened up a little bit more. I've applied every year since I could, so maybe we'll
Well,
see.
I think this gameplay definitely fits a lot of those games, which would be super sweet to watch you on like a Survivor show. I honestly don't watch a ton of Survivor,
Yeah.
at least not as religiously as others. But if you were on it, I think that would have to change.
I appreciate that.
Well, sweet. So, Akira, where can people find you on social media?
So my Instagram is Akira underscore Andrews, Akira underscore Andrews. Um, all other socials are just my first and last name put together.
Sweet. Well, thank you for showing everybody at home kind of what it's like to just be a man of integrity and commit to something and follow through with it. Um, and you can do that with a smile on your face and a kind heart. So great stuff. I appreciate it. And again, this has been another episode of Beast Files. If there's any comments or if there's anybody else you'd love to see me chat with, put it in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.